What's up guys, Austin here from Airsoft Station. Today we're going to be doing a video that's a little bit different. You guys really seem to enjoy and appreciate that motor height video that I did. So today we're going to be doing a similar video. This is going to be all on the hop-up chamber and the hop-up system on your M4. Now, this is going to be very M4 specific. If you have a different kind of gun or a different kind of hop-up chamber, go ahead and feel free to leave a request. We'll try to get to those videos pretty quickly. On this combat machine by G&G, this is a pretty easy breakdown, one of the easiest ones on the market. But regardless of your M4, whether you have to remove these two pins, whether they're a push pin or whether they're an Allen key, you look in your manual or do a quick Google search, figure out how to split the receivers on your gun. On this G&G, it's simply a front pin, which you pop out like that, and it's a self-retaining pin. It stays right there. Not important. Anyway, go ahead and just separate the upper receiver from the lower receiver like that. Now, for the rest of this video, take your lower receiver, set it off somewhere. Don't worry about it for the rest of the video. Now you've got your upper receiver. Something to note about range and accuracy when it comes to your rifle is all of the range and the accuracy come from three things: consistency, hop up, and barrel. Now, those three things make up the entire range, accuracy, all of that thing that you're going to get. Consistency, that comes from your gearbox. That's going to be how consistently the FPS is shooting. If you have, large 50-degree FPS margins with every shot, one shot's going to come out much more powerful than the other shot. It's going to put different spin patterns on it. It's going to be a lot less accurate. Next is the barrel. Obviously, if you have imperfections in your barrel or bend in your barrel or anything like that, it's not going to be nearly as accurate. If you have a really wide bored barrel, usually those aren't necessarily quite as accurate as one with a tighter bore barrel. Granted, there are some exceptions to that rule. And then lastly, the hop-up chamber itself. That's where the majority of your range and accuracy come from. Even if you had a perfectly consistent shooting gearbox and an amazing barrel, if you didn't have any hop-up on your gun, you wouldn't probably be able to make it out any more than, I'd say, 50 to 60 feet without having, extremely powerful, skin embedding FPS levels. So, with that being said, we're going to show you how to service your hop-up. This is your hop-up chamber right here. It sits right in this upper receiver right here. Go ahead and just grab that where the BB would feed in and just pull it straight out. If it's getting caught on anything, just go ahead and give it a little wiggle and it'll pop right out. So this is your hop-up assembly, chamber, and barrel. Now, again, for the rest of this video, take your upper receiver, go ahead and set it aside. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, just because we're going to start working with some smaller parts. There we go. All right. So the first thing is your hop-up may look a little bit different than this. This is what a G&G combat machine hop-up looks like. Your hop-up may not. So when you're looking at this piece right here, this is a chamber stabilizer right here. Not all guns have this. They are extremely handy, but like I said, not all guns have this. That basically just keeps your hop-up straight in the receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that off by pushing this pin on the opposite side, which will release that. Alright, so I apologize for the edit there. This piece, this is off a brand new gun. Those pieces haven't been moving around at all. They were still pretty stiff. I had to end up actually using the screwdriver to push the pin from the backside. Anyway, not important. So now that you have that off, go ahead and set this aside. Now, this is what your standard M4 hop-up unit is going to look like. This right here. Now, there's something to note. Most M4s utilize what is called the one-piece hop-up system. This basically means it looks exactly like this. The part where the BBs are going to feed from the magazine and then turn and go down the barrel is all one piece. That's a one-piece hop-up. There are also some other brands such as KWA which utilize a two-piece hop-up. That's going to look a little bit different than this. The part where the BBs feed from the magazine are actually going to stay attached to the lower receiver. So your hop-up unit is actually only going to look like this, and it's going to have a small slit in the bottom right here. That is called a 2-piece hop-up. It doesn't matter, honestly. You'll be able to do the same servicing, the same repairs, same replacements. Just keep in mind it may look a little different. It may only look like that rather than having the tube sticking out from the bottom. Either way, let's get started. This is your hop-up chamber. This is your barrel. We're going to show you how to separate those two. The first thing to do is to locate this clip right here on the bottom. This one happens to be green. Sometimes they're the same color as the hop-up unit. Just know that that clip is there. Try to get your nail or a little flathead screwdriver in there, and you can see how you can kind of pry that out a little bit. Go ahead and just pop that right off the bottom, like so. Oh, snap back there. Pry it off the bottom just like that, and then go ahead and set that somewhere safe. And then go ahead and back your hop-up unit all the way off. Now the way you can tell it's all the way off, let's see if I can get this to adjust. There you go. The way you can see that it's all the way off is you can see that on this farthest top wheel, there's a bigger tooth which doesn't allow those to mesh. So once you back it all the way and that bigger tooth gets stuck in the notch right there, you know that your hop-up is all the way off. Make sure you are going the proper way and not going all the way on. So go ahead and back it all the way off. And then what you're going to want to do is grab your barrel firmly and your hop-up unit and go ahead and give it like a 1/8 turn in one direction, and then an 1/8 turn in another direction, and then you can see how that green rubberized piece comes off. That is what we call the bucking. So go ahead and just keep doing that and start applying a little bit of pull to it. These are delicate pieces, so make sure you're not rushing anything or anything like that. Just do these little 1/8 turns like that while applying some pressure. And then once you get to the end, go ahead and give it a firm pull. Right out. Do some wiggling and firm pull right out like that. Then you can go ahead and set this aside for now. This is your hop-up unit. We are going to get back to that. Right now I just want to show you the 3 parts that make up your actual hop-up. So you have the hop-up unit, the hop-up bucking, which is the rubber piece, and then you also have what's called the hop-up nub. Now let's see again if I can get this to adjust properly. The hop-up nub, when you take this arm right here and push it down, and there it is. You can see it right in there pushing down. See it appear and disappear, appear and disappear. That's the hop-up nub. That is connected to the bottom of this arm right here, and so that's when you push down, it's basically a really, really small rubber barrel. That's the best way I can explain it. It's like a barrel that has the bottom cut out from under it, so it's just basically a cylindrical rubberized tube, and it has a little bit of give to it and a little bit of gush, because if this plastic arm was pushing directly onto this, you'd have a really, really rough hop-up unit, and so every time that hard BB went across the bucking on the inside and against the hard arm on the outside, it would wear that rubber down extremely quickly. So they put in a nub right there, and then again that's just rubber, and it gives a little bit of give to it, and it just makes your buckings last substantially longer. So hop-up unit, nub, and bucking. Those are the 3 parts that make up your hop-up unit. Let's go ahead and get started on taking apart the hop-up unit itself. The first place that you're going to want to start is you're going to want to remove this Phillips screwdriver. On a really, really rare occasion, I've seen these to be Allen wrenches, but 99.999% of the time they are Phillips screwdrivers, and the really mini ones like this. So go ahead and just get to unscrewing that, you know, your standard righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Go ahead and unscrew that, and then you'll see that the screw pops out like this. So then you can just go ahead and grab that, set it somewhere safe, and the gear that it was covering, you can go ahead and just grab that and very gently pull it up. These are plastic teeth, so be careful with it. Just very gently pull it off like that, set it somewhere safe as well. Now that we've got that done, you can see how there's these metal washers over the plastic arms that connect the gears to the unit. You're going to want to figure out a way to pry that up. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little flathead screwdriver because I don't have enough nails to actually pry that up. If you do though, that's really handy. I'll be right back. Alright, so we're getting down to really, really small parts here, and the camera is not wanting to focus properly, but you can see that that metal piece has been pulled off a tiny bit. So now that we've got the screwdriver, the screwdriver to do most of the work, you can see that I was able to grab this and pull that off. You want to make sure you don't lose these, so go ahead and set that somewhere safe as well. And then once you do that, you can get your screwdriver under your gear. Go ahead and pop that off as well. So now we've got 2 gears off, 1 to go. You can see that there's not a metal bracket over this one. You'll see that it's on the back side. Usually for this one you can end up just pushing the arm through and avoiding the hassle of trying to pick that up. So you can see there that it popped right out and it left this behind. So go ahead and set that aside and then get your screwdriver under the last gear and go ahead and pull it up. Oh, and don't drop it on the floor like I just did. Alright, now that that's done, I really recommend leaving your hop-up unit laying flat or horizontal. Don't flip it upright. Make sure that it stays horizontal, and you can go ahead and grab that arm, and now that this gear is out of the way, which runs right through this window through the top of the unit and which actually controls the height of your hop-up arm, you can go ahead and grab that hop-up arm, pull it all the way out, and you will see that there's the nub right there, which sits in there with just purely friction. It's such a small, tiny part that doesn't really honestly get affected by gravity when there's a little silicone on it to help it be a little sticky. And then you can see that spring right there, and that is what allows the arm to be pushed back up once you release the pressure on your hop-up unit. So we're going to go ahead and close that. If you ever needed to replace that spring or replace the nub, if your range was, acting really weird or curving upwards when you had the hop-up all the way off, I'd go ahead and check and make sure that spring was in place. Or if you had the hop-up extremely high and you still weren't getting any hop, I'd go ahead and make sure that that nub is in place. But for this one, we're just going to assume that everything is right, so we're going to go ahead and close it up really careful. Doop. Just like that. And then we're going to make sure that that arm is sitting in the right spot. Just like that. So you can see how that plastic piece wants to hang out a little bit. And this top gear has some grooves on it like that. And that's what pushes this down once it gets turned. And it pushes it down and it makes your nub show up. Like that. Alright, anyway, let's put this back together. You're just going to want to reverse the order that you had. So you'll put that in place, push the arm down a little bit, and give it a couple screws. Remember how that big tooth kind of was pointing at, if this was a clock, it would be pointing at probably 7:30 position. 7:30 or 8 position. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in a 9 position right now just to make sure that those teeth mesh up properly and I don't have to go and do anything on the back side. Then we're going to go ahead and grab one of those little brackets. These are tiny pieces and they're really annoying to work with and you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing, but you're just putting that on and applying pressure and just using pure friction. They're going to stay in place. And then apply pressure on the back side. Make sure you're pushing the gear against the body as hard as you can and that metal bracket against the body as hard as you can. And then that gear is just going to stay in place and it's not going to go anywhere. Then we're going to do the same to the back side. Place that gear in place. This one, it doesn't matter where you put it. This one is a free spinning gear. All the gears are the same size. So go ahead and again just put that big tooth in a 9 o'clock position and then just make sure those gears are meshing up right. When you spin one, the other one should spin, which it is. And then go ahead and put that metal bracket right on top of it again. just like that. Perfect. And again, same thing, apply pressure to the back of the hop-up unit and push down as hard as you can and make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And then we'll replace this. We'll go ahead and put that wheel in place and go ahead and tighten her down. All right. Now something to note about this, when you do go to tighten this screw down, the amount of tightness is kind of a happy medium. You want to walk the fine line, because if it's too loose, if it's too loose, every time a BB hits the hop-up bucking, it's going to push that nub upward, which is going to push your arm upward, which, this is a big chain of events, try to stick with me here, but it's going to push your bucking up, which will push your nub up, which will push your arm up, which will begin to turn this gear, which will then turn this gear, which will then turn this gear, and if this gear can turn, then that whole system will slowly start to shift upward, and you'll constantly have to be applying more and more hop-up. However, if it is too tight, we'll go ahead and tighten it down. If it's too tight, you won't have to worry about your hop-up getting lost, but you won't be able to adjust your hop-up because it won't turn. So you have to find that happy medium. You'll want to back it out a little bit just so that you can difficultly turn your arm, your hop-up gears. That's where I like to leave it set, just so that it's difficult to turn. I know that the friction and the pressure of the BBs aren't going to affect it, and only, you know, my fingers, which are stronger than the resistance, are going to affect that gear. Now, we'll go ahead and take a look at your bucking here. You can see, actually, you can't see, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that there is a ridge on the bottom. Let's see if I can get this to adjust. Yep, a ridge on the bottom there, and then some teeth, or one tooth, I should say, up at the top there. You can't really see it. Alright, there it is right there. You can see it. It's right on the top there. That is the piece that actually hangs down out of this window that is cut in your barrel. And that little tooth right there hangs out through that window when your hop-up is engaged. And it looks like this. So you're going to find the ridge in your barrel, and find the ridge on your hop-up bucking. Get those to mesh up just like that, so that you're gonna, you know, it's not gonna rotate on you. That's the whole point of that ridge. You're gonna push it on a little ways, and then you're gonna feel a little resistance. That is that tooth hitting the end of your barrel. You're gonna wanna push that over it so that it actually sits in the window that's cut. So, boop, and then you can see how it rippled right there when it went over. And then when you look through your barrel, I'm just going to apply with my finger what the nub of the hop-up would be doing. But when you push it down, you can see that green piece hanging into the barrel itself. That is what applies the backspin on your BB. That is how your BB stays accurate over long distances and also achieves the ranges which it does, while, you know, having so little momentum to the actual BB itself and not going at, you know, lethal speeds. So you can see how it just hangs down right in there, and then when you disengage it, it goes back up. Alright, so now that you know how hop-up works, you can learn a couple things. The main thing that goes wrong is either your bucking rotates, it somehow manages to turn itself, even though it does have that ridge there, and that's not what it's supposed to do. Sometimes they just do it, things go wrong. They either rotate and then that tooth isn't sitting properly because it's rotated, and so then there's no possible way that that tooth can get there. You can tell if that happens because it has that bulge right there on the side of the thing. So you're going to want to pull your bucking all the way off, realign the ridge, and place it on so that it's smooth all the way around. And that's how you know that that tooth is sitting there properly. Another problem that you get with a hop-up is sometimes your bucking simply wears out. This is rubber. We all know that rubber is not the most durable or longest lasting. Same reason you got to replace your tires on your car, you got to replace your buckings on your gun. It's plain and simple. It's just simple maintenance. You're gonna have to do it if you shoot enough. So it's a good thing to know how to do. Let's say you replace the bucking or you replace the hop-up unit or something like that. You're gonna go ahead and put it back on. So remember that ridge? That ridge represents the bottom. And remember that window that you can feel in the top when you squish in? That represents the top. So when you're looking at your hop-up unit, you're going to want to keep that in mind. So you're going to want to make sure the ridge is at the very bottom of your hop-up unit, and then the squishy part is at the very top. Now, same thing, you're going to want to do tiny little turns to get it on, that way it doesn't bunch up, but you don't want to do big turns because again, your bucking can flip and then you won't get any hop up on your gun and you'll get no range, no accuracy. So just little tiny minute turns while you do this. This one is brand new, so I didn't need to use any silicone, but if your gun is a couple years old, you may want to use some silicone when doing this. You can put it directly onto your rubber bucking. Don't use anything besides pure 100% silicone designed for airsoft, because other things can break down that rubber, and again, that'd be like pouring acid on your tires. Why on earth would you do that? And then we're going to put that clip back in place. You can see when I zoom in here, it's definitely faced a specific way. If I were to put it on this way, it wouldn't sit properly. So you're going to want to match those up like a little piece to the puzzle, and they're going to just clip in just like so. And you're going to want to make sure that they're equal on both sides. You can see I have a small gap there and it's tight there, so I'm going to push upward on that, rotate my hop up unit, anything. This is to just ensure that everything is in fact straight. And there you go, you see I have it sealed on this side as well as this side. So now I know it's sitting perfectly. And then this brass ring, which you might be wondering, this is just to add a little friction to make sure nothing is rotated or pulled off while firing. You'll just want to take that and push it directly in the space between the chamber and the barrel, just like that. And that just helps lock everything down so nothing accidental goes wrong. Alright, so I went ahead and threw that piece back on there, and again, if you don't have that piece, it's not the end of the world. This is a really handy feature that comes from G&G, so there's no rolling of the chamber itself in the gun, but it's not required if you don't have it. You're pretty much on the home stretch now. Just line up your barrel with the hole in the upper receiver right there. Go ahead and just drop this whole assembly right down there. Push it against the thing, and you are good to go. It's pretty simple. Again, the steps for you on putting your upper receiver back on your lower receiver might be a little bit different, but just go ahead and follow those steps. Make sure everything gets lined up properly. Make sure everything clicks in place. Put your pins back in, and you have successfully serviced everything in the hop-up chamber. So until the next video, guys, have a good one. Keep leaving me comments. I'm excited to see what you guys like. It helps me kind of figure out what to do for you guys. You seem to like these more tech-orientated videos, so we'll probably keep more of those coming. So anyway, have a good one, guys.